But I'm thrilled to be here among thousands of proud American patriots. The cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget that our ultimate strength does not come from equipment. It comes from the men and women of the rank and file. No enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. There's no Navy even closer. Nobody can do what we do. Nobody has what we have. For 2.5 centuries, America's Navy has preserved the vision of our first Commander-in-Chief, who gave the ship its storied name, its righteous soul, and its timeless motto, first in war, first in peace.
Big handshake with President Xi out of China. Who would have thought we would see POTUS meet with the folks who the media claimed hated us so much, China and Russia? Reminds us of the post where we were asked if they were working with us to destroy the deep state. We'll see. So much more to unveil on the SNAP benefits and the military operation and the big deals and the melting panic of the Dems, all by design to wake up the masses. And we'll show you some of those today, too. Like you saw in the intro, one of the still frames taken from News Treason Channel 17 has the new White House showing fighter jets 45-47 on them, the White House video. The dash matters, not the comma. It's not 45 comma. Joe Biden was president of nothing. Also, just in case you guys didn't know, President Trump retruthed this, the best is yet to come, with Q plus on his collar. Bright and shiny for all to see. He knows what's going on. Been sharing with us for a long time. We're pleased to see it play out.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it.
President Xi, friend of mine, a long time if you think about it. Since when? Well, you guys remember. I mean, I remember when President Trump had the Mar-a-Lago visit. Remember, Xi flew all the way into Florida to meet with him. Way back in that 15-16 time, I believe it was 2016.
Very, very distinguished and respected President of China, and we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Interesting choice of words. What's really playing out in front of our eyes? Remember, Lisa May reminded us it's 30 October in South Korea, right? It was as they were meeting. What are the odds we have an 8-year delta of drop 13 as president is now meeting with Xi in South Korea? Yeah, because October 30th, 2017, it says, now think about the timing of POTUS traveling to China, South Korea. China / South Korea. Interesting because he's meeting with him in Busan, South Korea. China is. I've said too much. God bless Patriots. It's almost like they knew. It's like they knew 8 years ago how it was going to play out. Not only that, they met at 11:07 a.m. Very interesting. Because we got that 117 also. Remember President Trump in that meme that was put out and of the game where he's wearing the uniform. You see that? We had it in one of our intros. He's got 117 there.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
How about that? Let's see what old Xi has to say.
And it
Who's
feels
in the
very
room?
warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the 2 leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our 2 countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our 2 economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress.
How about that? Says he's glad to finally be meeting with President Trump. 3 phone calls, some letters. They've been talking. So instead of getting angry and saying, I don't agree with you, he says, hey, we have disagreements and we work on those. Instead of saying, well, I'm mad at you, I hate you, let's go ahead and start fighting with each other. Let's send weapons over. Let's put our children in harm's way. No, let's talk this out and see what's going on. Julie Donuts, President Trump posted 5:23. Very much looking forward to my meeting with President Xi of China. It will take place in a few hours. He posted that at 5:23, which on the cue board is Checkmate.
Prior to December 2021, my husband Larry was a healthy, active man with no health concerns or underlying conditions. He was a college lecturer and a successful musician, but that was all taken away from him on the 15th of December 2021. That was the day he received a COVID Pfizer booster injection in Oma Leisure Centre.
Well, that heartbreaking story from Larry Lowe's wife. She's talking because it's too hard for him to speak. Just because she didn't react immediately to the COVID jab, it doesn't mean you are in the clear. Mysterious symptoms and even deaths are surfacing months, sometimes years later. So you look at this, the VAERS reports show way more COVID vaccine injuries than something as common as Tylenol. And get this, experts estimate only 1% of cases are even reported. Plus, shedding means you could be exposed even if you skip the shot. Now, mRNA vaccines could be in our livestock, even organic. Why are mRNA vaccines different? It's the spike proteins. These proteins meant to train your immune system can interact with blood vessels and platelets, potentially causing clotting or inflammation. Overwhelming evidence shows millions are affected. So what's the solution? It starts with your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is the number 1 factor in fixing damage from vaccines, antibiotics, and the standard American diet. And the best way to boost gut diversity is kimchi. Studies like one from the National Institute of Health show kimchi's incredible power to restore gut health. But let's be real, eating kimchi daily isn't easy. That's where Bright Course Kimchi 1 comes in. Delivers 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants in one convenient capsule. No mess, no taste. It supports digestion, energy, metabolism, immunity, and more. The And We Know listeners can get 25% off Kimchi 1 with code AWK at mybrightcore.com/awk or call 888-317-9941 for up to 50% off plus free shipping today. Saw this from SG Anon. An Arabian sword dance was given to President Trump twice. A Qatari ceremonial dance was given to President Trump. A private Forbidden City dinner, remember that with China. A stroll into North Korea, remember he took 17 steps with Kim Jong-un and turned around back then. A walk leading both the late Queen Elizabeth and the later King Charles like a choreography instructor. A Japanese ancestral dog breed offered as a gift. A new cutting-edge Air Force One for the U.S. government. A Dubai skyscraper honorific. A former Scott Castle, now a world-class golf resort. The personal putter of a former Japanese prime minister was handed to President Trump, that of Abe. A South Korean crown was given to President Trump. He isn't just saving America, Western civilization, he's saving the entire world from a godless evil that has tortured all of humanity for millennia. And the world knows it. You know, as we get into all of the ways that he's solving problems and changing the world, when we come back to the United States, we have this guy who actually is in the middle between left versus right. He's kind of in the middle, and he noticed some things.
Did you know that a grand total of 6 Democrats had to vote yes for you to have benefits? That's all it took. Every Republican voted yes for you to get your benefits. And the thing that pisses me off is, as someone that sits very sternly in the middle, it's getting harder and harder for me to even find any light on the left at all anymore, because they legitimately don't care about the American people. And you can disagree. You're allowed to do that. But when you disagree, remember, there's not a Republican on record, on video, saying that they're using your suffering as leverage. Remember that. Remember that. We've got a Democrat, the number 2 speaking Democrat, number 2, mind you, saying that we're using your suffering as leverage. And some of you got the nerve to still sit here and blame and Republicans. Are you okay?
People are losing their mind, and they're waking us up one at a time, right? Let me get that out real quick. Let me type that in. 9:45 is when I saw that. So we go over to the C-SPAN. You know, they allow these callers to make their bidding and talk to the Democrat rep, Becca Balint, getting called out.
Right now, it's the Democrats that are holding up the charade to not fund in past what has been a clean CR. I just want the federal government out of my day-to-day life, and most importantly, they're impacting my wallet.
All right, Mark. Go ahead. Mark, thank you so much for the call. I know I've been speaking with a lot of my federal workers in Vermont, and I know it's an incredibly challenging time. And we are very concerned, not just about the level of anxiety that this is causing, but also the real dollars and cents issues around not getting paid.
You know, it's interesting. She's from Vermont, right? Sometimes I wonder, and we've talked about this in the past, if this wasn't all orchestrated to be another wake-up call for the United States. Not only the United States, I mean, people around the world are noticing, like, how much money are we giving these people, illegals, to live in our country? Well, we knew that they were putting up in hotels, the new ones, and they were giving them all kinds of money. And you know, Did we realize exactly what was playing out? Because now we're really paying attention. See? It's almost like doesn't matter what the Democrats say, doesn't matter how many people attack them and say we need to reopen the government. It's almost as if it needs to be this way to wake us up. Just my 2 cents. So a receipt showed up. An illegal migrant from Venezuela left her receipt at the grocery store, so the cashier took a photo. The DEBT food stamp balance, food stamps, $13,401. The cash balance on that was $4,498.85. Yet millions of Americans can't afford groceries, gas, and rent. Food stamps by ethnicity, if you're looking at your screen: Afghanistan, 45.6%, Somali, 42.4%, Iraqi, 34.8%, and Haitian, 23.3%. So let's look at the mainstream media covering this guy.
Without the government support, I cannot stay maybe a month or 2 months.
Pima County Chairman Rex Scott told News for Tucson he's deeply concerned about the impact on local refugees.
Oh, Bakr Rajab. They're calling him a refugee. Well, that could be true. I mean, refugees, they brought him over and said, I'm depending on these SNAP benefits to move forward. I don't know. Makes you really wonder what's playing out before our very eyes. SNAP now burns $145 billion a year. This is from Amy Mack. This is $7.8 billion every single month. Billion with a B. Recipients spend twice what the average working American spends on groceries because they aren't spending their money. They are spending yours. Remember that. You guys go to work, or you've got your retirement, and they're taxing it. And they take that money and they say, thank you very much. We're going to give this to the people that don't work in the country. And they're from other places. And we're just going to hand it to them so they can kick back and relax. This isn't helping the poor. This is rewarding dependency and subsidizing foreign population who arrived to take but not build. Look at this report, this video here.
Hello, everyone. This is Fahan Organization's Halal Food Shelf. Our food shelf.
A halal food shelf. HALAL. A Sharia food system funded by the U.S. taxpayer. You ready?
We started with full. It was so full that you will see the pictures from before. And this is the after. As we all know, the government shutdown has a lot of effect. The food stamp is being shut down. So we are in need of food so we can serve our community. Whoever is in need, if you can donate, if you can, even a can of food, everything is appreciated. You can contact us with any information. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Waxaa kusoo dhawaataan Fahan Organization Food Shelf. Food Shelf keeni, masha Allah, wuu buuxay, zaa'id ayaan u buuxin.
So, this is rewarding dependency and subsidizing foreign population who arrived to take, not build. 43 million people are on food stamps. 80% of SNAP users are also on Medicaid. 61% get 2 or more additional welfare programs. 53.5% of immigrants are on at least one welfare program. Nearly 45% of Afghans in the U.S. are receiving free food from you. And now, incredibly, we have Somali migrants in America angrily demanding that their halal food pantry needs to be restocked. Not food, halal food. A Sharia food system. Halal is not cultural cuisine. People think halal is ancient. It isn't. The global halal industry was engineered in the 70s and 80s after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, when Iran and Saudi Arabia, competing to export political Islam, partnered with Western multinationals like Nestle to create a certification empire that pushes Sharia norms into non-Muslim economies by stealth. Now, that same system sits inside our welfare state enforced with your money. And spare me the claim that illegals aren't on SNAP. Remove illegal alien households, mixed status loopholes, and fraud, and the cost would collapse. 70% of this system exists only because the foreign population is bankrolled. If all benefits were cut off, they would leave. Listen to this.
42 million people losing their SNAP benefits come November 1st. And then when I look at the numbers of the amount of people and where they're from, I'm going to say this is a much needed process, bruh. Because you're telling me of the 42 million people, only like 30% of that 42 million are actually Americans? And I mean 30% of the 42 million are actually Americans who were born here, who are disabled, who are veterans, who are actually people who literally and actually need this assistance. Because if I'm looking at this report that says 51% of the total number of people that are receiving these SNAP benefits are purely because of their religious beliefs, meaning these people are Muslims or from the Islamic religion, Islamic countries. They're from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Somalia, these places. And they're receiving these benefits purely because, for one, their women aren't allowed to work. Their women aren't allowed to have multiple children. They are 100% supposed to be home to cherish and nurture their children. Their husbands are allowed to have multiple wives, and with those multiple wives having multiple children, meaning they're getting multiple thousands of dollars per month. And if you think about it, it makes total sense why the Americans that are getting the pocket change, who are not having kids, and even if they're having kids, they got like 2-3 kids, and then their 2-3 kids are disabled, right? And then they're the ones making all the noise because they're getting pocket change when these people from the Islamic countries are getting thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're in a household with 3 other women that are filing for these benefits as head of the household. So in the one house, there are 4 wives getting like 4 or 5 grand a pop because they have like 4 or 5 kids a pop, right? And their husbands are just going out to these meetings trying to convert more people. But at the end of the day, they're getting like $15,000-$20,000 a month for the one household. And who knows how many bank accounts they have. No wonder when I see these people going out on vacation, they're just so comfortable. And it's like irritating, but at the end of the day, because a lot of these people came here, right? They came here seeking better, but then they came here to live the same way and the same rules, live by the same rules that made first place.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing how folks are grabbing their phones and hitting record and saying, I've had enough. I've noticed so much. Waking up. Venezuelan illegals in Chicago getting their expenses paid. $15,000 in food stamps to illegals. $5,000 in cash. 6 months free rent. Priority on Section 8 housing list. Head on over to Ireland. There's an Irish woman that actually confronted refugees and asked them questions. This guy's from Afghanistan, right?
And why is it only all men that has come and no families with you?
Why is it that all men that's coming? How come you don't have your families?
It's so difficult to bring a family with that way we are came here. So
But you would, if you were fleeing a war, wouldn't you bring your family with you?
He said, we left because we're fleeing a war. She said, well, if you're fleeing a war, wouldn't you have brought your wife and children with you?
And whatever possessions you have.
With the woman and children, it's so difficult.
Well, why would you leave off for your safety if your safety is in danger and leave your children there?
Sorry, I told you we didn't have a time. So
Why would you flee a war if you leave your children there? And he says, sorry, I don't have the time. See, now he doesn't want to talk when they get confronted. So NBC News puts out, federal agents arrested an undocumented father in San Jose. Undocumented father, not illegal alien criminal. They forgot to say that he's committed lewd and lascivious acts with a child. This is from Tricia McLaughlin. Battery of a spouse, domestic battery, compensation for prostitution, and felony reentry after removal. They don't want to talk about that. But, Homeland Security actually puts out memes now, continuing with this one. So it begins. They also put this one out. There won't be Shire Pippin. Join.ice.gov. The board is set. The pieces are moving. We come to it at last, the great battle of our time. Time to remove them all. Who's caused all these problems for all the decades? Well, one of them in particular has been getting called out over and over again. And here's a reminder.
After what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level.
It's very criminal at the highest level. Folks, we're at amweknow.com, and it's a phenomenal site. I talk about it all the time, but I tell you, need that reminder out there. You can find all of our videos, all of our social media on the top right there. You can also notice that, let's see what we got here. On top of the videos, you've got the Freedom Cruise that we've been announcing March 15th through 22nd out of Fort Lauderdale, heading to Puerto Rico and coming back. And we're going to have a great time we're going to have actually biblical teaching in the mornings. We're going to have time when we're at sea where we're on stage in the morning and afternoon. That's double during those times. Where we're on the stage, we go over the cue board, we share stories, stuff that I would never answer or do Q&As with you guys there. Give you information that, I won't ever share on the air. It's pretty cool. We have meet and greet time. The food is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. You'll also get to hear the wonderful voice of Todd Tillman, who won The Voice, and actually Tim Lovelace, a great comedian. You'll also notice that if you click that AWK merch there on the screen, it'll take you to shop.amweknow.com, and we got some new products there. The embroidered collection, Make Heaven Crowded, Jesus Saves, and on the back of these shirts, we have the And We Know logo, all in heavyweight 100% cotton tees. John 14:27 is there, and we also have Follow Me, and I Will Make You Fishers of Men shirts in different colors. You see those on your screen, and we've got some new men's polos. You got to check it out, folks. Great new products for all of you. Here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear. So earlier today, the direction of President Trump, Department of War carried out a lethal kinetic strike on yet another narco-trafficking vessel operated by a designated terrorist organization in the Eastern Pacific, said Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. This vessel, like all the others, was known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit narcotics smuggling was transitioning along a known narco trafficking route and carrying narcotics. 4 male narco terrorists were aboard the vessel and killed during the strike, which was conducted in international waters. No U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. The Western Hemisphere is no longer a safe haven for narco terrorists bringing drugs to our shores to poison Americans. The Department of War will continue to hunt them down and eliminate them wherever they operate. Now, you'd think that they'd be excited, right, on both sides, the Republicans and Democrats, right? Wow, it's great. We're saving millions of lives because they're not allowed to bring these drugs in anymore. Instead, we got this guy losing his mind over this.
They're not terrorists. They may be drug runners. We don't know that for sure. But just because you call somebody a terrorist, we call lots of people terrorists, doesn't mean that the military is authorized to go after them.
That's Democrat Representative Jim Himes. He's just getting started. Here we go.
If no other reason, and look, I talked to an awful lot of people who, despite the fact that this is illegal, are comfortable with lethal action against purported, maybe, cartel members.
Maybe cartel members. Our intel's bad. We follow them. We know exactly what they've been up to for decades, and they bring the drugs in. You guys were preventing law enforcement from getting involved, and you know what? We've had enough of our Americans dying from these drugs. Listen more.
Where does it stop? Do we now start executing drug dealers on the corners of Brooklyn? Where does it stop? If all of a sudden the government, without telling anybody anything, can take this kind of lethal action just because they've decided that they've got the right to do so. If Lindsey Graham and other Republicans want to go the route of saying it's okay to kill people illegally, just so long as the American public supports it, the American public needs to really think that through. There will be a Democratic president someday, and all my MAGA friends who are, cheering on these illegal killings need to imagine who gets killed when President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that it doesn't matter what the law says. She's going to do what she's going to do. So look, I work here, so I understand the complete abnegation of principle and a complete thumbing of the nose at the rule of law, but I would hope that people like Lindsey Graham might not go that path because it's a very, very dangerous path for this country to go down. They're not terrorists.
Two things. He actually said President AOC. I'm not going to say her whole name. What a joke. He also says, be careful supporting attacks on drug traffickers because if a Democrat gets elected president, we will bomb you. That's what it sounded like to me. It could be other things. It could be AOC does things that you guys don't like. It almost sounded like, what if she becomes president and starts bombing her enemies? Huh. Well, the mainstream media, how they report, they're going to continue to push that narrative that we're all dangerous. But it's not working. CBS News cuts evening news morning streaming show in newsroom-wide layoffs. Just one part of Paramount's sweeping job cuts and a blow to the news organization's headcount as Barry Weiss' already turbulent tenure as editor-in-chief gets into full swing. It was not immediately clear how many people were affected, though some reports pegged the figure at nearly 1,000 jobs. Or 100 jobs. Boy, I had an extra zero. Whew. The cuts affected CBS News streaming companion shows to CBS Mornings and CBS Evening News, both of which were canceled, according to a source familiar with the matter. It looks like we're watching the systematic destruction of the old guard. Power will return to the people. Let's see. If we head over to The View, are they continuing with their CIA ops?
It's kind of crazy. I kind of agree with him. If you, instead of investigating a man who is no longer in office.
Oh, investigating Biden.
I would like y'all to find out why the U.S. military is striking vessels without verifying who's in them.
Yeah. Oh, they got their talking points because she's reading it straight off the paper. We shouldn't be going after these past presidents. That's old news. Instead of Biden's auto pimp stuff, come on, stay away from that. We need to focus on why President Trump's blowing up these all the drugs off our coast. It's just terrible. 4 people were killed in that boat, and they had families, and They need to make money too. Who cares if it's responsible for hundreds of thousands of dead people in the United States of America? Who cares? Come on. It's not a big deal, according to these snakes at The View. And then people listen to it and say, that's right, those poor people on the boats were just blown up for nothing. And they're not talking about all the deaths in the cities, all the corruption of the liberal, leftist, sociopath leaders in each city, leading to their destruction and demise. No. Let's feel sorry for the 4 people on a boat. Let's not look at Biden. As a matter of fact, when Trump got back in, let's go to, when he got out, well, let's go to his past. We can destroy him all we want. And we're going to go to his house in Mar-a-Lago. We're going to raid him. And this is good news. All this great stuff. We're finally going to get him. Now that he's out, we're going to get him. We're going to keep him from getting back in. You hear what they're doing? You catch it all? Pretty sick, isn't it? During the fall sale at CB Distillery. If you're tired of tossing and turning at night, feeling stressed or dealing with aches and pains, you need to hear about CBD from CB Distillery. People everywhere are turning to CBD because it works. Over 90% of customers say they sleep better with CBD. That's huge. And CB Distillery has natural solutions for just about everything. Better sleep, better mood, focus, pain relief after workouts. And it's all made with clean, high-quality ingredients. My favorite is the CBD Relief and Relaxation Gummies. I get them strawberry, and I tell you what, it helps me with my sleep. As you guys know, I definitely need it. Look, if we're going to be waiting for the perfect time to try CBD, well, this is it. It's the perfect time. Stock up and save up to 40% on everything. Just head over to cbdistillery.com and use my promo code RUMBLE. It's in the description box below.
So y'all know that old school saying, black people got to stick together? That one? Yeah, it turns out that right there does not count if you're talking about a black woman who just so happens to think for herself. Yeah, take a look at this here. In the beautiful state of Virginia, a black woman is not even able to get the support of, get this, the NAACP. Would y'all take a look at that right there? The National Association of Advancement for Colored People would rather stand behind a white liberal woman than a quote unquote fellow black sister. That's right, folks. There is nothing a liberal hates more than somebody who can think for themselves, especially if they happen to come in black skin. Yeah. These are their true colors. I mean, well, technically it does make sense because the NAACP is majority funded by people who look like her, basically.
Oh my goodness. Keep them coming. One day at a time. Vice President J.D. Vance calling out conservatives who are too afraid to take action.
But there is something you guys are doing that is kind of disturbing me a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. You guys have sent the military into Washington, D.C. and a few other cities that I can't think of off the top of my head, which first off, they've had wonderful results. Like no one can deny the results of that. It's wonderful. Some might even say the greatest. I'm a comedian.
I like this guy. Who is this guy?
Thank you, JD. I like you too.
Now he's gonna ask the question. Go ahead and ask your question.
But yeah, I'm just wondering, well, it's not necessarily something you did wrong, but it's what could someone else do wrong? Let's say we get a complete tyrant in office, and let's say Turning Point USA is having a huge protest against something really bad that we don't like, and let's say he's a president is saying that it's getting violent. How can we? I'm trying to think. My mind's kind of blank. What is the difference between what you're doing and how could we prevent someone from abusing that power?
Yeah. So look, I understand where the question is coming from, and I think it's a fair question. And it's going to sound like I'm being sarcastic, and it really is not meant in any offense. But when you talk about what could another administration do, to take a wild, hypothetical example totally off the top of my head, what if Joe Biden sent the Federal Bureau of Investigation to start arresting his political opponents? Okay? So here's something that I want conservatives, I want every conservative to remember. It's an important part of my entire political philosophy is we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whether we do it. That is the takeaway of the last 40 years. And in particular, if you look at what we're doing, if Joe Biden wanted to deploy the National Guard to a red state in a place where the murder rate was twice what it is in third world countries to actually go after murderers, that would be a great use of the National Guard. Unfortunately, I don't think Joe Biden would use it like that. What I'm worried about, frankly, is what the far left already did with American law enforcement. And that is the thing that we have to prevent against. And the answer to that question is you make sure the people who did it face penalties for using the federal power against American citizens. And by the way, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, JD. Honor to meet you, man.
He brought up the military, that guy. Had the crowd pretty excited. So they're doing a good job. 0420 FlipCrypt on X said, I just made this video for this particular post. It only tells part of the story, but it tells enough. This might help people on the fence or normies understand this is not a game. Buckle up. The last dying breath of the deep state has entered their lungs. They are trying to use hunger to their advantage. And he's speaking of and posted the report that the Pentagon has ordered the National Guard to create quick reaction forces nationwide by January that may respond to civil unrest within the United States. Here we go.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country.
Never forget when he gave this speech, the military was standing behind him for those listening in. Or never forget that he had the judge advocate general, the law on one side of the military and military intelligence on the other. You better believe that everyone standing around that podium, they were probably freaking out, thinking, uh-oh, is this the time they're about to take us? Oh, no. It's just a signal to let you know who's coming after you. The key, military intelligence versus the FBI, CIA, and NSA. You see what's going on? Who is the commander-in-chief of the military? Oh, yeah. Military intelligence, no such agency equals key. POTUS and Patriots equals stone. The only way is the military fully controlled. Save and spread 11.3 is the marker. Military intelligence referenced above is the absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. Think about Antifa, how they play into the plan, always ahead. Good guys are winning. Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? You betcha. U.S. executive not accounting for military use on domestic soil. The CIA thinks its foreign offshore assets are strong enough to defend against the U.S. executive. Any military scene is for your protection. Never forget that. Follow the money. Future proves past. The Great Awakening, no escape. What had to happen first? Think logically. Think DOJ and FBI. Think cleaning. Is the puzzle coming together? You bet it is. When people are unemployed, hungry, and desperate, as millions were in Germany between 1930 and 1933, they often turn to extreme political parties offering simple solutions to their problems. Between 30 and 33, support for the extreme right-wing Nazis and the extreme left-wing communists soared. Services delayed or stopped amid the shutdown. There's on your screen, you can see it, military pay, SNAP, FHA-insured loans, disaster relief, national parks, passport and visa services, small business. And then we have the Antifa and Nazi flag photos that were handed to us. Insurrection, riots, city takeovers. They're going to go crazy. What happens if Soros-funded operations get violent? What happens if mayors, police commissioners, chiefs do not enforce the law? We're seeing that play out, aren't we? Seeing that play out. Never forget this, folks, about the military and their role. You know, with all this stuff going on with Biden and how he's being exposed for that auto pen, I found it very interesting that the Oversight Committee released videos. Several videos of these guys having to testify on this whole deal with Biden, how he's basically was not running the country. We're going to watch Mike Donnellan for a second, Biden's former senior advisor, squirm as he admits he made $4 million from the campaign and stood to get a $4 million bonus if Biden won re-election.
How much were you paid for your role in the campaign in 2024?
I was paid just a little bit short of $4 million.
I'm sorry, how much?
$4 million.
And I'm not familiar with how these sorts of pay arrangements work on presidential campaigns. Was that all guaranteed up front, or was it dependent on any given advertisement, or was it paid out throughout the campaign? How does that work?
Well, in this situation, it was...
Let me bring this down here for a second. Kind of got in the way. Here we go. And he backs up right about there.
It was paid out in monthly payments in the campaign.
Monthly payments.
And were those payments dependent on the campaign continuing, or were you guaranteed the $4 million through the end of the race, regardless of whether President Biden finished the race?
Counselor, are you going to tie this to mental acuity?
Yes.
How?
We'll get to it.
Okay, well, if you could, explain how you're going to tie it.
Well, I'm just curious because you're saying that you believe that the president should stay in the race, and then you advocated for that. And I think, I'm just curious if your own financial stake in the matter had any was a factor in any way in your advice to the president.
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe it was a factor in my advice to the president. I had given president advice for a long, long time, and I believed in him. And so that's my view.
Did he have incentive to keep Biden, no matter how crazy and how ridiculous he sounded and walked and everything? Did he have financial incentive to keep it going?
Just to be clear, would the amount of pay you received for your role in the campaign, would that have changed depending on how far into the race President Biden made it?
My sense is that the
He's having a hard time. He doesn't want to answer. Boy, he's thinking deep, folks, if you're not
in
watching.
my view, the money was.
How do we answer this? He's still thinking. That computer's working in his brain.
That it was a guarantee for the campaign.
Guaranteed by the campaign.
That we'd had a negotiation, and that's my memory of the agreement.
I know this is slow, folks, but wait.
Would you have received a bonus depending on the way the campaign went? Was that a possibility?
See, he needed that bonus. If he could get Biden in that re-election, another $4 million. He was just sitting there. It's like, oh man, how do I answer all this? President Trump steps in, says the United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished, including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. Because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but had no choice. Russia is second, and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years. They're going to have it the same as us. Because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So I wanted to share a couple more big things here. You remember that Illinois Democrat congressional candidate, Kat Bunazala, I believe is how you say her name? She's been federally indicted for attacking and blocking a federal vehicle outside Broadview ICE. Oh, yeah. Yep, she's in big trouble. And she's been making videos and posting them on X, saying that they're coming after me. Yeah, you should have never been out there messing with the ICE officers. You're in big, big trouble. Other things, the U.S. Attorney in California just announced a whopping 97 people being charged.
In response to recent immigration enforcement actions in Los Angeles. To date, we have charged 97 individuals either with assault or impeding of federal agents engaged in immigration enforcement operations. And we will continue to charge more as we obtain the evidence.
Oh, yeah. Los Angeles. They're making arrests. I don't remember all this happening before, when you had another president. I don't think that they were making these arrests. I don't think they were encouraged to make any arrests out of the DOJ. They're catching them. Just in case you're wondering if nothing's happening. It's happening. Some positive news, too. South Korea will be building its nuclear-powered submarine in the Philadelphia shipyards right here in the good old USA. Shipbuilding in our country will soon be making a big comeback. Stay tuned. More money being brought in by President Trump from other countries. Can you imagine the amount of jobs that'll be open because of that? Imagine the shipyards, how excited they're going to be about this. Oh, not only that, remember, like we said yesterday, you have these guys move in to build these submarines. That keeps the jobs. It keeps the businesses open where these guys go get their lunch and their dinner and their breakfast. It keeps the food trucks open. It keeps families moving forward in our cycle. There's ripple effects to all this, right? So South Korea's agreed to pay the USA $350 billion for a lowering of the tariffs charged against them by the United States, President Trump said. Additionally, they have agreed to buy our oil and gas in vast quantities, and investments into our country by wealthy South Korean companies and businessmen will exceed $600 billion. Our military alliance is stronger than ever before, and based on that, I have given them approval to build a nuclear-powered submarine. How about that? He's stunning the world. South Korea paying $350 billion. Trump is beating the experts once again. And it kind of leads to more retruths. The real art of the deal. Make Made in America great again. President Trump retweeted this, and it says, embrace tariffs, abolish income taxes. A businessman, a stable genius who has a vision. That vision, folks, would be wonderful, came to fruition to have our income taxes wiped out. And then we could take our hard-earned money and actually make investments where they count. Biblical investments on precious metals, instead of cash. Maybe our cash will even become gold or backed by precious metals like gold. Gold will destroy the Fed. We hear that all the time. And I reminded you guys over and over of our great interview with Dr. Kirk Elliott from last Saturday. We have another one coming up soon. And to tell you what, he goes through all of this and reminds us of how amazing it is to have a time like now to get your silver. Folks, we see the curve. Gold is supposed to continue to grow for the next 10 years. You can reach out to him at amweknow.com/gold in the description box below, and you'll be taken care of. The climate change, President Trump said, we just won the war on the climate change hoax. Bill Gates has finally admitted that he was completely wrong on the issue. It took courage to do so. And for that, we are grateful. MAGA, Bill Gates has been brought up a lot recently. As a matter of fact, for those that didn't think anything is happening, think again, said Ultra MAGA Dean Erickson. Bill Gates to donate 99% of his fortune to Africa. What? Isn't that the country that wanted to hang him for genocide? Of course it is. And now he's paying for his crimes against humanity. Remember Executive Order 13818. Bill Gates to donate 99% of his $200 billion fortune to Africa and other charities over the next 2 decades. Wow. Would have never thought that would play out. Of course, this little climate hoax scam is not working. Folks aren't falling for it.
About climate change now for decades upon decades upon decades. And the worry in terms of climate change, simply put, hasn't shifted. It has not reached the majority of Americans. What are we talking about? Greatly worried about climate change. You go all the way back to 1989, it was 35%. 2000, 40%. 2020, 46%. And in 2025, look at that. It's 40%. The same number as we had 25 years ago back in 2000. And then only just 5 points higher than we had back in 1980.
Just 5 points more. And then he gets to the big slide. The top issue facing the U.S., climate change, 2021, 3%, 2023, 2%, and 2025, 2%. Yeah, people just don't care. They've been lied to for so long. Climate change effect on my home area will be harder to stay here. In 2023, 23%. Guess what, folks? In 2025, we were given the big number, 17. 17 is cleaning up the climate change hoax. Q. Isn't that amazing? With all that's going on around the world, of course, I've been in prayer over what's happening in the UK. It's been breaking my heart. A London woman actually called and cries her eyes out in desperation.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. How many is too many?
She's begging her son to leave the country. Her cousin was taken out, gone. She said her friends, her family, they're dying. Concerned Citizen posted this video. If you look here on your screen, hundreds of illegal migrants sit down for their third home cooked of the day inside a luxury hotel in Derby Migrant Hotel in UK. There isn't one single woman or child. These are not refugees. This is an army. Getting this reminder from people. They're posting. They want you to know what's going on over there. And you head into our country, and you got all kinds of things playing out. Look at this. 2 Muslim doctors have been performing illegal surgeries on girls in Minnesota. It's a Shia Muslim practice in the United States.
Troubling details are emerging in the federal case involving a local doctor. Jimana Nagarwala is accused of performing an illegal medical procedure on young girls. The procedure, referred to by prosecutors as female genital mutilation, was allegedly performed at a clinic in Livonia. And now the man whose name is on the front of that clinic was charged in connection with the case. Sean Lay is live with the very latest on charges against this second doctor and his wife. Sean.
That is correct. All three, two doctors and a wife, all charged now in this very troubling case. The FBI says the evidence here is mounting. They are relying on some security camera footage, some taped phone conversations, and the testimony from two very young girls who say they were taken to that clinic where they experienced unthinkable pain.
It's classic.
So, the FBI is involved. You think we'd have saw this in the last administration or during Obama's time? I don't know. I don't think so. Right now, people are asking questions. Vance was, of course, at talking to students on campus, and this was, brought up again about all of the deportations and more.
Pushing out policies that hurt us. And these policies are not even solving the problems. These policies are just creating chaos.
Ma'am. Okay, so again, I'm gonna finish answering the question, and then if I've answered all 9 of your questions in less than 15 minutes, then we can keep on going. We got to have a little fun, right? So here's the thing. I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future, while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
very interesting. Now, remember we were talking about things that play out in our country where you can't share your faith and Sharia law is not being practiced. Well, Dearborn, Michigan, forced to post a public apology on their city's website for 3 years.
In Dearborn, Michigan, they locked us up, threw us in jail, kept us there for a while, and we hadn't done anything. And the things they accused us of, we didn't do at all. No investigation. They just took us and locked us up. And then they were wrong. Then we were found not guilty, and then we sued them, and they had to apologize, and they had to post an apology on their city's website for 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing everything we can to avoid the situation that is being produced, where in Muslim countries you have Sharia, and then in Western countries where you supposedly don't have Sharia, you get this sort of replacement Sharia, right? Where, sorry, you can't make fun of Muhammad. Sorry, you can't, because police will come in there and stop you based on other people complaining.
That's YouTuber David Wood, publicly arrested for criticizing Muhammad and preaching Christianity. The Muslims had him arrested. Kind of brings up these points here.
Christian values out there that I think that we've just sort of assumed and we've in fact taken for granted. Christian values are the idea that you should respect every single person as an individual, whatever the color of their skin, created in the image of God. That's a Christian concept. And in fact, it was a Christian empire, Great Britain, that abolished slavery to begin with. The idea that we should eliminate child sacrifice. What did the Christian settlers find when they came to the New World? They found a lot of civilizations that were murdering babies in weird religious rituals. It was Christianity that said we don't kill children just because they're somehow inconvenient to people. A lot of the things, human rights, the very idea that human beings have rights are a Christian concept. And so I'd ask you, my assumption based on the question is that you're skeptical of Christianity, or at least of certain public professions of Christianity. One of my favorite Bible verses is, "By your fruits ye shall know them." And I think that the fruits of the Christian faith are the most moral, the most just, and the most prosperous civilization in history. I make no apologies for believing that Christianity is the pathway to God. I make no apologies for thinking that Christian values are an important foundation of this country, but I'm not going to force you to believe in anything because that's not what God wants and that's not what I want either.
It's interesting because we were together for almost a year in Cherry Point, North Carolina. He worked for me as a corporal. And when I started my Bible study with the chaplain support on that base, he was one of the first to show up, and he was there quite a bit with his Bible, ready to study. We had some great Bible studies at the time, and there was somebody in our office who was actually forcing young Marines by placing all types of Bible verses all over his desk and big posters of things that shouldn't have been put there. And, it caused a lot of friction in the office. And I could tell stories about that for a long time, but not today. Bottom line is he's been through a lot, seen a lot, and he's very, very interesting to see him talk about Christianity in such a bold way. We don't have the same, I don't think, foundation as far as where, when we come to different sects of the religion. But for what he's stating there, it's pretty cool to see him like that now. President Trump posted, MAGA, never forget or it will happen again. He posted it 4:56 on purpose, I believe, because you have George Washington going across the Delaware. Remember that? The surprise attack, and changed our nation for good. And, with all the pictures that President Trump had posted with his visits throughout Asia, looks like mostly these came from Korea. The connections were pretty good from Grasshopper 17. And they're again trying to let us know that you and your families are safe. Promise, we are with you. Storm coming. Warning. All this is connected in amazing ways. He's going full throttle, and they're looking at everything. Breadcrumbs were being dropped in the days preceding the decision that this case could be reconsidered. We are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, fight, fight. Demand public disclosure. Be loud, be heard. This is just the beginning. It's going to be glorious.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you once again for your continued guidance, for your grace and mercy on our lives. Thank you so much for how you've brought so many leaders together in such a way to really proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the nations. We thank you once again that we are witnessing and growing together and learning how to have dialogue, do it in a loving way, no matter how the enemy reacts to us. And we're watching so many lives change, so many hearts change, and so many people waking up to just the massive amount of crime that has been placed in front of us. We ask that these elections be monitored, played out in a good way, and that we would finally see what the people have voted for, the districting being done properly, and more. And for the protection of those in the front lines, those that are fighting for our nation, the National Guard that's going to get their training for these riots, they're going to be popping up everywhere. We ask for their protection, for their training to be wonderful. And thank you so much for your protection over so many, day in and day out, in this great awakening. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support and your emails and great comments. Hitting that like button, the follow button on Rumble has been phenomenal. Many of you that didn't know we were on Rumble are following us on our new YouTube channel also. And so we appreciate that. Unfortunately, YouTube would not give me my channel back, the original one with more than 400,000 subscribers. We tried several times. And although others did get their channels back, and they talk about Q all the time, with their 300,000 plus subscribers, I just couldn't get it back. I tried. And so we're going to try some legal ways to get it back if possible. But anyway, working hard behind the scenes, and you guys are praying for us, and we appreciate it. For now, this LT Semper Fi with them we know, signing out.
Great honor to be here.
But I'm thrilled to be here among thousands of proud American patriots. The cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget that our ultimate strength does not come from equipment. It comes from the men and women of the rank and file. No enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. There's no Navy even close. Nobody can do what we do. Nobody has what we have. For 2.5 centuries, America's Navy has preserved the vision of our first Commander-in-Chief, who gave the ship its storied name, its righteous soul, and its timeless motto, first in war, first in peace.